Hey there, Evolutionary. I am thrilled to be here again. Day 2, video 2. This is really exciting. And my goal is to get a couple videos out every single week on these teachings that my guides gave me, started giving me 7 years ago. So I've got a lot of ground to cover because we're living in crazy times. And so some of the things that I was taught very early on help prepare me for what's going on today on this planet. And so I want to share these things because, again, my guides kind of nudged me. And for those of you who didn't see my first video, I'll tell you, I began this journey when I looked up at the blue sky in Texas and I asked the universe to restore the gifts that I had forsaken this lifetime. Now, that's a crazy thing to ask, and I have no idea why I asked it. But all of a sudden, as I walked back into my house, I had these crazy insights, downloads of past lives, of insights around manipulating energy, seeing sacred geometry, things that I knew nothing about, and yet here they are. And I sat down on my floor and I wrote for 3 hours or more, and it was just this really kind of crazy dynamic that happened. And then that was just the beginning. I've since drawn literally hundreds of drawings of energy and things that, by the way, when they come through, I draw it and I understand it, and then I look at it a couple months later or weeks later, and I'm like, what the heck did I draw? So I've actually got to go back through and re-assimilate these transmissions, if you will, that my guides give me. And but what I'm here to do today is to talk to you about the very foundational mantra that my guides gave me that put me on the platform of where I am today, and how to see and expand and what I'm going to call attune to the larger scope of consciousness and dial into morphinogenic fields that allow me to download information and have and meet conversations with just amazing people I don't even know who they are. I met this Indian god, and he was talking to me about the universe and the calendar system, and I've never studied any type of Indian philosophy. He told me his name was Jyotish, and I'm like, who is Jyotish? I don't know. So I wrote it down and Googled it later, and I found out that's the gentleman that does, it's the Indian horoscope. And so anyway, a lot of very trippy things. And here I am sharing my mantra with you because I want you to be able to see what you cannot see. As we talked about the visible, or we have not talked about it, but obviously the visible spectrum in which we can see is very small. And so my whole goal is to expand your ability to see beyond the visible light spectrum. And the only way you can do that is through your mind's eye. Now, one thing I want to point out, this is critical, is that the mind's eye is not the third eye. Certainly the mind's eye can be tapped into as a resource. So these people that are, well, that's a whole different video talking about fluoride and calcifying of the pineal and this and that. Well, guess what? You have a etheric body, and I will eventually teach you how to tap into, sit within the etheric body that you have in the etheric realm, where fluoride does not exist. So there is no way that any earthbound chemical, poison, toxin can affect you. And you can also use the etheric, because the etheric is closest to the physical, to heal yourself, to attune your body to a new level and overcome things, diseases, whatever it might be, just new levels of understanding and learning. Once you understand how to tap into the etheric and meditate within the etheric realm, which is also kind of cool because I was sharing this, quite a while ago with a good buddy of mine. And we became good friends after this whole journey of mine started, and he happens to be a Buddhist monk. And I talked about him, shared with him how I was meditating in the etheric realm. And I gave him a little bit more detail than that, so I'll just kind of leave that as a little teaser for you. And he looked at me and he said, Joe, where did you learn how to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. My guides told me how to meditate in the etheric. He goes, that's an ancient teaching. That hasn't been taught, as far as I know, for well over 1,000 years. How did you learn that? And I said, it was my guides. And so he goes, well, I guess it's time for that teaching to come forward. So get ready, because it's some video in the future. I'm going to talk to you about how to meditate in the etheric realm. And it's really cool, and it will open up a completely new dynamic. But right now, I'm going to teach you how to, a foundational step in which to expand your consciousness. So one of the first mantras, or actually the very first mantra that my guides gave me, and it's really exciting, I still get excited about it, is see beyond. So just the words, see beyond. So what does that mean actually? Well, see beyond means going beyond the ability to see where you currently are at. So in other words, if you're in a box, you see beyond that box. But most people go, well, Joe, how do I see through the walls? I'm in a box. Well, you've put yourself in that box because we are unlimited beings. We are amazing beings of consciousness that expand and can tap into anything in the entire universe. And I'll actually show you how to do that as well. But for right now, just as a fundamental teaching, you really need to learn how to see beyond. So let that mantra sink in, see beyond. So what does that mean? Or I should say, how's the first step in which we do this? So when you're meditating or in any state of mind, you're looking at something from a perspective of here, because that's kind of where you are. So the goal is to move these mental walls from here to here to here and keep expanding them outwards. Now, you may go, well, it's kind of weird. I don't know, Joe. But it's true. So I'll just give you a real quick exercise. And this was an exercise that my guides gave me to help me understand exactly how to start seeing beyond. So they told me to close my eyes in meditation. And then they told me to put my hands where I thought my walls were relative to my mind's eye, and it was probably at the time around here. And I'm like, okay, well that's where I am. That's it. I mean, that's the extent. This is where I am. And then so what I learned how to do was expand this in my mind's eye, my ability to see beyond from here to here to here, and I kept going, which aligned me and attuned me to a number of different things from teachers in the etheric, that taught me just amazing things, to typing into morphinogenic fields where there are banks of knowledge and insights, where I have conversations with not only teachers, but everything on this planet leaves an energetic residual. And so these energetic residuals are still living energies. And so I've had conversations with Tesla and just all kinds of crazy things, people, and just, anyway, you can tell I'm pretty excited because it's really cool. So, but it all started with this one exercise and the mantra to see beyond. So what happens is, again, when you're in meditation, you have a wall here. So how do you expand beyond that? Well, you know, the goal obviously is to continue to expand outwards. I know when I first started, I would get to here and I'd be like, I can't get through it. What's up? I can't penetrate this wall. And you know, I tried to climb over it. It was too high. I tried to go, okay, well maybe I'll go under it. I couldn't get under it. I would start running really fast and I would hit it. It'd be like a cartoon. I'd hit it, I'd bounce off, and I'm like, okay guys, you gotta teach me how to do this. And so eventually I learned how to manipulate the energy in the etheric. So these initial walls became more pliable and I was able to move through them and around them in different ways. Well, like magic, if you will. But then as I began to expand further and further, it became more difficult. So then what I learned was time dilation. Now, time dilation is really tapping into your future self, and I'll go way deep in multiple videos on this. But for just this, just to show you, you can actually look at yourself in the future, see yourself in the future, beyond the boundary you're trying to get to. And then what happens is if you know that you have already exceeded this boundary, you've seen yourself beyond this, then you know you can go beyond it. So that's interesting in a sense that you are tapping into your higher self to help your current self evolve at a faster rate. And of course, there are other teachings and other ways to tap into your future self, which a higher self, which you may want to call it, that I will show you in future videos. Now, also, this is, as you notice, this is two-dimensional. I'm going to play with and go way down the rabbit hole and get into 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, relative to 360 degrees. And then, once I've kind of played with you a little bit, when I say played with you, kind of mind game stuff to expand that consciousness, we're going to go deep inside. So this is external, which is what most people perceive the world to be. But I can tell you, you won't start meeting the great teachers until, one of my second, maybe my third mantra that they gave me, was to ascend into the depths. Now, ascending into the depths, that sounds contradictory. But if you think about all the ancient teachings, it talks about going inside. There is nothing outside of us. So when you ascend into the depths, you come closer to the Creator. You become closer to God. God is not out here. God is within you. You are an aspect of God. Your soul, who you are, is amazing. It is beyond the scope of anything that you could ever possibly imagine. And if you're here watching this video, you already know that. You know you're an amazing being that has this radiant soul that is ready to blossom. And, I'm thinking about other things as I talk about this, but I want to keep these videos really short. So what I want you to do as your exercise, and just start playing with this. And I did this, gosh, maybe for the first 6 or 9 months before I started moving into new levels of understanding, because I had to break down all the program barriers that I had had in my lifetime in order to learn how to move and see things differently, see beyond. Again, that is the mantra, see beyond. And so I want to challenge you to begin to learn how to see beyond, expand your consciousness, and then play with it for a little bit, and then give me some feedback in the comments, because I want to understand what kind of challenges you're facing, because I want to develop a whole course around this. And so the better I can understand some of the challenges you're facing, the better I'm able to facilitate, I don't know if I said that quite right, but the better I'm able to facilitate getting this information to you in such a way that helps you accelerate your journey. I mean, there's no reason that because I am where I am after 7 years, that there's no reason you can't be where I am in a year or less, or 2 years, wherever that, how we can maximize the learning opportunities for you. So with that, I am Joe Heller, and I am thrilled that you're here. Much love. I love you, and thank you for being and joining me on Harmonic Evolution.